On March 8, 2014, the Malaysian Airlines flight took off from Kuala Lumpur but did not reach its destination in Beijing. Anyone to date couldn't figure out where the plane finally went. But after 9 years, there is finally a hope as to where the plane is now. Welcome to my InfoSage TV. This is from March 8, 2014. About 9 years ago, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was supposed to take off from Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia, and go to Beijing, the capital of China. The flight carried 2 pilots, 10 cabin crew, and 227 passengers. Most of the passengers were belongs from China, in which 53-year-old Captain Zahri Ahmed Shah had 33 years of flying experience, while the 27-year-old junior co-pilot Farouk Abdul Hamid, who had 7 years old flight experience. If we talk about this plane, it was an 11-year-old Boeing 777 plane, which had no problems in the past and no mechanical or electrical accidents. The main purpose of telling is that it was a perfectly normal flight between Malaysia and China, which used to travel 5 hours and 34 minutes daily from Malaysia to China or back to Malaysia from China. But today was not normal for this flight. It was worse than abnormal. Of course, flight MH370 was only supposed to fly for 5 hours and 34 minutes. But in this, before the additional fuel was added, which allowing the flight to fly for 7 hours and 41 minutes. That means 2.5 hours more than its requirement. It is also routine practice for airlines to do this, so that if the plane is diverted due to bad weather or an emergency, it has extra fuel.
Delivery Malaysia 370, good morning.
Malaysia 370, standby. Malaysia 370, request level.
370, we are ready, requesting flight level 340 to Beijing.
It was March 8, 2014 at 12:42 a.m. Flight MH370 takeoff from Kuala Lumpur as per routine. The first pilot, Zahri, was in direct contact with the Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control Tower before and after takeoff. As soon as it take off, the plane turned its direction towards the South China Sea. And exactly 20 minutes later, at 1:09 a.m., the transponder on board sent its current GPS location to the Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control Tower's radar. This is an automatic function of the transponder that transmits its current location to the nearest radar every short time. So far, everything was going according to plan. After that 10 minutes at 1:19 a.m., as flight MH370 began to exit Malaysian air jurisdiction and enter Vietnamese air jurisdiction, the Kuala Lumpur Control Tower contacted last time to the first pilot Zahri and said these words.
Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysia 370.
This meant that flight MH370 would now have to contact the control tower in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. First pilot Captain Zahri also heard this message and replied, "Good night, MAS 370. Nobody knew that his goodnight message was going to be his last message. It was 37 minutes after the flight had taken off. Normally, until the plane reaches its destination, it remains in contact with the air traffic control tower of any major airport en route. And something similar should have happened here too, but everything was going normal has now become abnormal. Yes, 3 minutes after his last message, at 1:21 a.m. flight MH370 suddenly disappeared from radar, meaning the plane had completely disappeared from both Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh radar. Now it was quite normal for Kuala Lumpur Tower, because they believe that flight MH370 has now entered Vietnamese airspace, therefore disappeared. But when Ho Chi Minh's control tower saw flight MH370 disappear from its radar, something went wrong. He quickly wirelessed the captain to inquire about their well-being, but there was no response from the front. For the next 18 minutes, Ho Chi Minh Tower tried to contact MH370, but there was no response from the captain. Then Ho Chi Minh Tower contacted Kuala Lumpur Tower and updated them on the situation. Normally, in this situation, the rescue center has to be informed within 1 hour, but the Kuala Lumpur Control Tower informed Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Center after 4 hours. And now it was too late. It was 6:15 in the morning, and that was the time when MH370 was supposed to land in Beijing. It was hoped that the plane would land in Beijing on time, but there was no good news from there either. At 6:20 a.m., a search operation was started at the place where the plane went missing, in which 34 ships and 28 planes from 7 countries tried hard to search for flight MH370 on border of the Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea, but unfortunately, the plane could not be found. By that time, the whole world had come to know about this accident. By now, this news had reached on every TV news, websites, and social media. Meanwhile, the investigation teams of many countries also became a part of search operation. The sudden disappearance of the plane from all radars was beyond anyone's understanding. And if it crashed in this area of the sea, it's such a big plane. Something should have been seen floating on the water. The operation continued for the next 4 days, but no good news came from anywhere. But then on the 4th day came a news that shook the entire rescue operation team. When flight MH370 disappeared from radar at 1:21 a.m. on March 8, it disappeared from civilian radar, but remained visible on Malaysian military radar for the next hour. And what happened next was something strange. After disappearing from civilian radar, the plane turned right for a few minutes and then made a U-turn and turned back towards Malaysia. After 31 minutes, the plane crossed the Malaysian city of Penang and then turned towards Malacca Strait. Flight MH370 was last detected on this location in Indian Ocean, within range of military radar at 2:22 a.m. Now, after that, MH370 was not seen on any military radar or any civilian radar. The entire rescue team and everyone attached to the plane were just trying to figure out where the plane had gone. Even more disturbing was why the plane made a sharp U-turn in the exact opposite direction to Beijing. The rescue team, which was earlier searching for the ship in the Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea, has now reached this part of the Indian Ocean. But surprisingly, no trace of the ship was found here either. A few days later, a news came and the whole situation changed once again. The news was that the plane disappeared from military radar at 2:20 a.m. but was in constant contact with a satellite. It's common for Boeing Airplane to try to contact a satellite when their own communication system goes down for some reason. Every hour, the plane automatically tries to contact the Inmarsat satellite, which is 35,000 km away. With the help of the data stored in this satellite, the experts did a complex calculation, and finally the next movement of flight MH370 was also known. They found that after disappearing from military radar, the Malaysian plane turned again and flew in the same direction over the Indian Ocean for the next 5 hours. At 8:19 a.m., the plane made a final attempt to establish contact with the satellite, and this was the last signal received by MH370. After that, the plane was neither contacted by any satellite nor seen on any radar, which means when the rescue team first searched the plane was actually flying. But his location was far from there. Experts and researchers believed that the plane lost contact with the satellite after reaching a bend in the Indian Ocean 2,000 kilometers west of Australia. That is, after takeoff from Kuala Lumpur, the plane took 8 hours to reach this curved point, and the total fuel in the plane was only that much. It is very likely that MH370 crashed due to running out of fuel somewhere around this location. This prominent curved part of Indian Ocean is larger than the whole India. Here, the deep sea exploration began. Finding MH370 was crucial because until the plane and its black box are found, it will not be known what was going on inside the plane before the crash. The search for the plane continued for years, not months, but no trace was found. After 3 years, the deep-sea operation was finally canceled, in which more than $160 million had been spent. No trace of the plane was found during the search operation. In 2015, after a year later, the plane's right flaperon floated and reached to the shore of Reunion. This part is used during landing. When the found flaperon was researched, another scary fact came to light. Experts believe that when MH370 crashed into the water, the flaperon was not extended, and unfortunately, this means that when crashing on the water, the plane went into the sea on its nose. Over the next several years, many more parts of the ship were found off the coast of Africa. But till today, the plane and the passengers sitting in it couldn't be traced. To this day, no one knows what happened inside Malaysian flight MH370 before it disappeared. Some investigators believe the plane was hijacked, while others believe an electrical malfunction caused the plane to lose contact with the outside world. And due to lack of oxygen, all the people inside the plane had fainted. Well, what was the real reason? It can only be known from the recordings stored in the plane's black box, which is missing somewhere in the Indian Ocean with the plane. The plane was expected to be found again in February 2022, 8 years after the disappearance of MH370. A British retired aerospace engineer, Richard Godfrey, claimed that by analyzing the propagation of a weak signal, he was able to determine the actual location of a plane. And surprisingly, the solid point that Richard points out is also in the same curved part of the Indian Ocean. Richard believes the missing Malaysian Airlines plane is still there, 4,000 meters under the sea, its same depth the Titanic was found in 1985 after a 74-year search. And now it remains to be seen how seriously the Malaysian authorities take this claim of retired aerospace engineer, and time will tell whether a new search operation will be started at this point or not. I hope you will like and share this video. Thanks for watching. See you soon in the next video.